You asked for more Invincible, and we got you. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. We know you are loving the animated series of Invincible as much as we are, and whether you have been a long-time fan of the world and comic book series that came before, or you are just getting into it now, we have some new and exciting powerful characters for you to discuss in the comments below. Join me as we count down the top 10 most powerful characters from Invincible Part 2. And get ready for even more power and more invincibility because we have some pretty big heavy hitters coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, Isotope. Teleportation has always been for me one of the strongest powers that exist in the comics. Isotope is no exception there. What he lacks probably is his own drive and the intelligence needed to be a leader himself. It is for this reason that we likely see him playing second fiddle to Machine Head in the animated series. He seems to prefer to be more of a supervillain's lackey than a supervillain in his own right. Still, without him, Machine Head doesn't have the getaway he needs, meaning that he's kinda trapped. And Isotope is still a smart enough villain to know when it's a good idea to abandon ship, which is why he decided to ally himself with Titan instead of Machine Head going forward. Number 9, Cecil Stedman. Cecil might only be a human, but he's still a pretty smart human. One who knows when to make moves and how to stack the deck in his favor. He is the one who tells the Guardians of the Globe what to do, not their leader so much as just their boss. His only power comes from tech in the animated series, which allows him to teleport using bracelets. Surprisingly, Cecil is unafraid to face supervillains and superheroes who are far more powerful than him in terms of what he is capable of. You may have noticed that he seems to have a bunch of small scars on his lip or near his lip in the animated series. In the comics, we learn that this is because years ago, as a government agent, while on a mission, he was exposed to a flesh-eating gas. He was saved and then had the skin that had been eaten away replaced, save for that one spot to remind him of how bad he'd messed up. While his methods are sometimes questionable, there is nothing Cecil wouldn't sacrifice to try and save the world. Number 8, Titan. Titan is the character that we first see Invincible run into and beat up when he first gets his powers in the animated series. But just because Mark beats him straight out of the gate doesn't mean you should dismiss this villain. Later on in the series and also the comics, Titan would deceive Invincible. In the animated series, we see him come to Invincible asking for help. He claims he wants out of his life as a criminal, wanting to go straight for his family. He asked for Invincible's help in defeating Machine Head so that he can be free. But just like in the comics, after Machine Head is defeated, Titan steps in to take his place as the new ruler of Machine Head's criminal empire. His powers grant him enhanced strength and endurance, allowing him to encase his body in rock. But what really makes him powerful is his ability to manipulate others into doing his bidding. Granted, he probably will be a better crime lord than Machine Head. I mean, he's gotta be, right? Number 7, Dinosaurus. Dinosaurus is David Anders, who has the power to turn into, you guessed it, a dinosaur, specifically resembling a humanoid T-Rex. This change comes upon him whenever he feels a sense of indifference towards something. While in his Dinosaurus form, David is granted superhuman levels of strength, toughness, and agility. He also is smarter in his dino form, often using his genius to outsmart his opponent, or to manipulate them. His genius intellect also kind of gives him a god complex as well, making him obsessed with solving humanity's problems, but at any cost. Whenever he switches back to his human self, any injuries he has sustained also heal instantly. Number 6, Dupli-Kate. Dupli-Kate is one of the members of the new Guardians of the Globe. Her abilities are pretty cool and allow her to create an unlimited number of duplicates of herself. Her powers are actually the result of an ancient Chinese curse and were meant to cause her family to go insane. Her father actually gave up his children for adoption after he learned that both she and her brother Paul both had this ability. Having children that could multiply at will would be very stressful. Kate and Paul would work towards gaining better control over their powers and would use them to fight crime together as a superhero duo, with Paul taking up the name Multi-Paul. Later, he would become a villain while Kate would remain a hero. Kate would go on to join the Teen Team and later the Guardians of the Globe. Number 5, Powerplex. Powerplex almost succeeded in defeating Mark and became one of his arch nemeses. This is because during a fight that Invincible and Omni-Man were having, the destruction they caused killed Powerplex's sister. Scott's powers allow him to absorb energy, however, it is possible to overload him. At one point, Scott attempts to attract Invincible's attention, but using his wife and son as bait, asking them to pretend to be his hostages. Mark arrives and attempts to save them, getting in a fight with Powerplex, aka Scott Duvall, who reveals the real reason for wanting to fight Invincible. When Invincible punches him, however, Powerplex overloads, exploding with excess energy. This explosion ends up killing his son and wife, who were playing hostage for him. Devastated at their deaths, this only makes Scott hate Mark even more, as he also now blames Invincible for their deaths as well. Number 4, Tech Jacket. Tech Jacket is a member of the Guardians of the Globe. He ends up joining the Invincible stable of characters later on in the comic series, becoming a recurring character, but actually first appears in his own spin-off series based in that universe, self-titled Tech Jacket. Tech Jacket is Zach Thompson, a hero who received an alien tech jacket after encountering a crashed spaceship and a dying alien. That alien's name was Kelda, and they belong to a physically fragile and weaker race of aliens known as the Geldarians. To compensate, they created the Tech Jacket for every member of their race to wear. The Tech Jacket is a permanent item of clothing that is generally never removed. It grants Zack enhanced speed, strength, stamina, and agility. It can create energy blasts and weapons for the user to wield. It can also create force fields and can clean and provide sustenance to its user when needed. If you are looking to the main Invincible series for Tech Jacket, check out issues 71 to 78. He appears in that little run of issues. He's also in a few other issues, but that's like a whole run you could read. Number 3, Conquest. Up until this point in the comics, Conquest was one of the scariest villains we had ever encountered, and one of the strongest, most durable Viltrumites we had yet to meet. Conquest is an older Viltrumite, believed to be even older than Mark's dad, Nolan, and Nolan is like thousands of years old. An experienced warrior, Conquest almost straight up murdered Adam Eve and Invincible, as well as Mark's brother Oliver, Kid Omni-Man. Even when Invincible got the upper hand in their fight, and he thought the Conquest was dead, with his face being headbutted by Mark until it was basically unrecognizable, it still turned out that he had somehow survived. The more bloody and brutal a fight gets, the more Conquest seems to actually enjoy it. He is crazy. Number 2, Terra. Terra is the daughter of Adam Eve and Invincible. She was born on Earth but would move to Telestria with her parents. Because she is part Viltrumite, she will likely grow up to be even stronger than her father who came before her, as this is usually the way with Viltrumites. This means that Terra has the potential to become stronger than both her father, grandfather, and of course anyone that they themselves have seemed capable of beating in battle. She is shown to have the natural superpowers and abilities of your average Viltrumite. But like I said, she has the potential for being one of the strongest. Number 1, Thragg. Or is it Thragg? I mean, I haven't heard it said out loud yet, so Thragg or Thragg, which one do we want to go with? Guess we'll kind of have to wait to find out when he shows up in the show, whenever that happens. Thragg is the Grand Regent of the Viltrumite Empire, making them basically the ruler and, in effect, emperor, or the equivalent. He is a villain who initially wants Mark and his father Nolan dead. Thragg battles them on Earth and is briefly interrupted by Battle Beast. He is known for being the strongest Viltrumite and is also thousands of years old, having fought in the Viltrumite Civil War after the death of their emperor Argal. Thragg would end up being given the title of Grand Regent. He attempts to make a deal with Mark and Nolan that Viltrumites will take up residence on Earth as undercover aliens to help bolster the much depleted population of Viltrumites. However, he goes back on this deal of peace in exchange for cohabitation after he learns that Nolan was Argal's son and that Mark is therefore the heir to the throne, fighting to preserve his title. In the end, he is defeated, but only after everyone basically bands together and helps that to happen. Thragg still proves how powerful he is when he ends up being the one to defeat Battle Beast after days of battling with him, with both continuing to fight while disemboweled. Wow. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. What are some of your favorite Invincible characters? Who do you think is the most powerful? And what are some characters from the comics that you hope to see appear in the potential Season 2 of Invincible the Animated Series? Let us know in the comments below. I don't think we were approved for a Season 2 yet. I don't think that's been, it's happening, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be happening, so we should probably prepare. And of course, speaking of comments, it is time to turn to some comments from one of our latest lists, Top 10 Most Powerful Characters from Invincible Part 1. Zildjian comments, with The Boys and Invincible, Amazon Prime is really doing great with superhero content. Hope they can expand The Boys and Invincible universes. That would be really cool. I would really love to see more shows sort of set in that world and, more comics coming out of those worlds. Sunstar responds, when I first started watching Invincible, I thought this is way too Justice League, but they flipped it quickly. Really enjoying the series. Me too, and I agree with you. I felt like very cookie cutter in terms of the superhero content, but Woo, they flip it on you fast and it's so good. Nate Escabale's gushes, Battle Beast is a totally super awesome character. He got a sweet voice in the show. Yes, that sweet, sweet voice that you are hearing is the voice of Michael Dorn, who you may also recognize as everyone's favorite Klingon and head of security, Worf from Star Trek, from TNG Next Generation, baby! Sweet! It's so awesome. I'm so happy that Michael Dorn is doing a voice in the show. And that he's Battle Beast. So cool. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Till next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.